Oh yes, they've obviously realised we've.
And then I was like, oh, they've been on mute all this time.
Oh, that's right. Yes, yes.
I'll walk away, shall I? Shall I walk away?
It turns on because I'm just wondering whether it's probably.
No, definitely 100%.
So it comes on okay.
No, that's the battery. Maybe don't hold it for so long.
It comes on as soon as I.
Hang on, let go. Sorry to be a boss.
I'm still alive.
It's on.
Yeah, but then.
And then let's just press that one. And then that one.
What, once again?
Definitely, I charged it all night.
Yeah, well, you're right,
night long. I just switched it off.
Not the numbers not coming in.
None of the Italians are aware of that. All the Spanish just have American.
Do you want to walk away? Because you got the other one on you, and I'll try and do it.
And when people come, when people call for help, they call on the Madonna. They call, they go, Madre de Dios.
Okay.
And you know, the Mother of God, and it's the plea to the Virgin.
Oh, Mary?
Yeah?
I just had to hold this one on for quite a long time to make it come on.
This one's come on as well.
Okay. And remember, it's the display that goes on. Hi. Okay. All right, I'll have these. I'll have them.
Oh, you haven't turned this one on yet?
Hi. Oh, Mary, I can't do anything. It's too hot.
I haven't got the postcard.
Well, did she come?
I don't know.
So was I.
But
Like a vegan flapjack?
Oh,
With
no, thank you.
lemon, hand.
Oh, no.
one, just
They're very sweet.
thank you. The central line's a bit of a shit, so.
Hi. I'm going to come and see you. Hang on.
No, it gets stuck in my brain. I won't be able to get it out.
Please work. That's all we're saying here. Okay, we're live at Speaker's Corner, everyone. Right, I'm just going to go and speak to the candidates. Hi. Look at you, candidates. Hi. How are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Have you? Hi. Oh.
It was lovely.
Did you? Oh, nice. Okay, I'm. This is live. So, I saw a picture of you yesterday. You were all over Twitter in your hat. Yeah. I was like, woo! Look at the hat. So brilliant. So brilliant. Did you both go yesterday?
I didn't, I wasn't there. No.
You're so much diddier than I thought you would be. It's great.
We're about the same, aren't we?
Well, yeah, but I've got massive shoes on. Just to let you know, you're behind me. I wonder whether we ought to switch it, but then we'll have really bad light, won't we? Okay, you'll be fine. I'll just have to, or shall we switch? We'll have to switch it, won't we? Georgia, just to let everyone know, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to switch it so that the camera will face that way. Sorry. Everyone will be in shot. Which is, I mean, no, I don't think they mind being in shot. It just seems a bit weird, just talking mostly to people. With
It's asking about your message ID for Apple. So I don't want to say
they
yes
can
or no
shove off.
I don't know what the correct answer is.
Oh, it's always no, Mary. It's always no. Right. Okay, it's a bit of a slow start today because it's boiling hot. Oh. Yeah. I'm 50 now, I'm 50. That's what it is, I need a chair. Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming in the ridiculous, I'm not going to say it, I'm not going to moan about the weather at all. I'm perfectly fine about the weather. I just wish I'd shed some pounds early spring so I wasn't quite so hot. Anyway, this is Reformer's Tree, and it's great that none of you have gone on holiday. So thanks for coming here. I haven't either, so I made it. So over there, Speaker's Corner is really quite busy today. Don't know why. I'm not going to comment on any of it. It's very, very busy, very healthy, busy debate going on, which is great. How we start Reformer's Tree, it feels weird. I don't know why, it feels weird today. But how we start Reformer's Tree is with this. What a day this has been, what a rare mood I'm in, why it's almost like being a... Yes, it is. So, great news over the last month. Labour got in. And one of the first things they did, which I think is great, two things. Number one, don't have any more than 2 children, otherwise you'll be penalised. And Labour, definitely for the working and for the poor, totally blocked any lift on that ban. So if you voted for them on the account that they might look after you, well done. And they stopped free speech at universities. Oh, I'm so proud. I'm so proud. The good news is it means we're all in business for at least 5 more years. It means that we can carry on meeting, having these terrifying conversations as frequently as possible and doing whatever we can, which means I certainly still have a purpose in my life, so that's great. But we did know that Labour were going to be terrible. We were prepared. We did know that lots of people who know that Labour are going to be terrible still voted for them. And we are now in the lesser of 2 evils politics. That's what happened at the last election. And some people decided to totally eradicate what it means to be a woman was the lesser of those 2 evils. I happen to totally disagree with them. But the Conservatives deserved the kicking that they got because it was under their government that meant all this stuff happened. It means that teachers turned into tyrants against parents. It meant that hospitals turned into gaslighting arseholes against patients. It meant that greedy doctors and surgeons, many of which are in London, rubbed their little gleeful hands and happily sliced off the healthy breasts of teenage girls and young women in their 20s. It meant that the Chelsea and Westminster got underway for all the planning of the phalloplasties that they're going to attach to somewhere in the groin, sort of stomach region of some women. And all these things happened under the Conservatives because the Conservatives forgot to be conservative. And we've turned into this sort of homogenous, every government is unrecognisable almost of an actual national government, which is why the same things are happening in all countries. because the same techniques are used in all countries, and they're working because the politicians seem to be the same in all countries. And I don't want to move to Russia because I've heard there's some other stuff they do that I might not like. So that's what we're up against. We're up against this global push. And I don't know if you saw the hustings, but I don't want to start emulating the man that sat next to me with the globalist diktat. I don't want to start those theories, but it is a very global message that doesn't really, like, you look at like the Italian culture or any of the other sort of cultures you might associate, I don't know, like France, like the French, do you remember the French culture? Because I think they forgot on their opening ceremony. I think they thought that French culture is queer culture. And by queer culture, I mean not queer culture. I mean like straight man fetishy. Oh no, that is queer culture. So queer culture delivered to us all. And I want to thank each and every person who, every drag act, that small child involved in the drag act, the swarms of midges when those men were dancing, they just couldn't get away from those insects. I want to thank all of them for helping to peak the entire world, because I think that's what happened. See, I think that man is definitely, the man that created it all is a TERF, right? You can't have done that with a straight face or even a queer face. You can't have done that with anything other than, I want everyone to turn against this woke agenda that we started. And I also didn't know that France had no talented people, which is why they had to have Lady Gaga, and all the sort of really super famous people were not French. I was really looking forward to seeing something French besides a beheaded woman. I say bring back the French royalty. I don't know. Anyway, so we gather here so that women can have their say about the things that they think are important. There's kind of no limit, although you can't really slag me off because it's my camera and my channel. But there's really no extent to what you want to talk about. What you want to talk about is nothing to do with me. The only thing I want to do is ensure that you have a place that you can say it. That's why Let Women Speak was created, so that everybody comes and has their say. It was always supposed to be that. It will remain that. And even though I know with other things going on, like yesterday, there might be people that want to talk about some of those issues. Personally, I don't think there is two-tier policing, because we've been so well looked after by the police. And the stickering has to stop. There's been a terrible, terrible violence with stickering, so yay the police. I think we're all acutely aware that the better behaved you are, the worse the police might be. That seems to be what happens these days. And I'm not commenting on the Manchester airport incident, but I'm talking about the way women are treated. We're not allowed to be victims of crime. We're not even allowed to be stalked. And if we're stalked, we're just a nuisance, right? So the police might criminalise you, and then what you might do is you might actually get killed just to prove yourself right, that you should have gone to the police in the first place. Anyway, so I will give way. Oh, I sound like I'm in America already. Would anyone else like to speak? Yes. You are first. What a bloody marvellous T-shirt, Stella.
I know.
There you go.
Well, hello everybody, and hello to the candidates who are here. I've spotted two. I don't know if we've got more than two. We had Catherine, Kellie-Jay, and Louise is somewhere around. And I think we've got four or five. Yeah, hi.
We've got both Catherines.
Brilliant, brilliant. So I just want to say, on behalf, I'm sure of all of us, what a fantastic job all our candidates did in the election. If it wasn't for the example they've set, things would be just as moribund down in the southwest of England as they always have been. But we've actually had, during the election campaign, three meetings of TERFs from around the Bristol area where we've never had any meetings before. Women are afraid to walk out their houses. You'd think we were living under the bloody Taliban. So the election has galvanised the Let Women Speak Locals group, and that includes, well, we're expanding it to be a regional group, so that it's Bristol, Bath, North Somerset, and anybody who can travel into Bristol, basically. So if anybody is here from the southwest and wants to go on our list for social events, please let me know, and it's going to be old-fashioned paper and a notepad method of keeping in touch with you. Okay, no WhatsApp, no Signal, no mysterious mechanisms. So come up and see me afterwards if you're in the southwest region and you are able to get to either Bristol, Bath, or maybe Weston-super-Mare. Okay. Yeah.
And while she's there, can we I just want to say thank you on behalf of all the candidates to Stella, who was just endless help right through the campaign. I can't tell you what it was like I'll tell you what it was like actually on election night. So I decided to do this party thing. It took about 9 months and thousands of pounds to get registered. It was a bit of a headache, and it's very odd because some of the submissions we made were almost identical kind of copies of other people's manifestos, bar the sort of obvious. And we were still declined, and I was beginning to think it was like a real conspiracy against us, especially when sometimes our declined application came back with a he, him, or a she, her in the pronouns. And I was thinking, oh Christ, even the Electoral Commission's been targeted and captured. And so when we eventually got registered, I was so ecstatic, and then we had the first famous 5 who stood as candidates for their councils, who are amazing. And then we had this incredible group of 15. Started off a few more. One woman couldn't actually stand as a candidate because she'd lost her business after 16 and a half years, I think it was, or 12 and a half years. Her 6-monthly contract for her tenancy was going to be declined on the basis that she was going to stand for us. And she wasn't the only one. Other people sort of upset their families and had to pull out really early. And it was really quite stark to think just how far this had come. Some people couldn't stand because they didn't want to put the names of their nominators, so you needed about 10 people to nominate, and they didn't feel that they would want to put anyone else at risk. To stand in an election to say that a woman is an adult human female and transitioning children is abuse, they knew that they would jeopardise some people's livelihoods by putting them, because you had to go public, by putting them on a public register. And then we were left with 15, I think 5 of which Louise is here. Well, including me, yeah, but I was always going to do it because I'm a show-off. So we had Catherine and Kelly over there, Catherine over there, Louise behind me, and Leslie, I didn't see you. Oh, and sorry, Una. And Una, you're going to have to put your hands up because I can't see. I've lost my sight. Anyway, doesn't matter. So we had these amazing women. Do you want to stand up and have a round of applause? Yeah. Stand up. Come on, Una. Kelly and Catherine, do you want to? Can you make it round in time? Do you want some help? Yeah, you're in. Come on. You're going to speak anyway. Yeah. So, just a small sample. She won't do it. So these amazing women decided that no matter what, that they were going to stand and be counted. And what we managed to do in that campaign is we managed to deliver about 850,000 leaflets through the doors of 850,000 households in the country, which definitely will have reached people with the message. I mean, it was a relatively crude leaflet, I'm not going to lie. It was a bit of a punch in the guts leaflet, but it introduced some people that wouldn't have heard of it into what is happening around them. And often, if you're not tuned into news, you don't do social media, which far more people than we care to think actually aren't tuned in at all to any of this, the first time they'll know that men have managed to demand their way into our spaces is when they come up against one in their, like, Aquafit. I think we met a lady that had done Aquafit in Colchester, and everyone was tutting and moaning in the changing room, and then when she went, she thought she was going to be like in a group of people to go downstairs, and no, it was just her. So she just looked like she was moaning for no good reason, and now she doesn't go. So that's what's happening all the time. Women are self-excluding. So all of the women that stood as candidates basically said to their local area, this is what's happening, and you're not alone. Because all too often what happens is women come across this issue and they think they're the only person that objects. They're the only person that feels uncomfortable, and they must have missed something. They must have missed something that time that everybody decided that yes, some women do have penises and it's perfectly fine to wiggle them about in women's changing rooms, and you've all got to think that they're stunning and Dave, wherever these men are, that they're poor and oppressed. I even met a woman in a church in 2015, 2016, and she was saying gleefully that one of her friends' husband had become a woman, her words, not mine, and he was now in the WI. And it was like, I'm a nice woman, aren't I? Because I'm accepting of this man in the WI, and that makes me a really nice person, which is kind of a whole toxic femininity thing. That means you will basically go up to someone and demand they wear a hijab, knowing in Iran that they're going to get imprisoned or maybe worse. That's toxic femininity, right? The thing that we know exists, this sort of covert enforcers. And I think that's what happens. And obviously, I'll talk about my doctor's surgery as well very briefly, and then I will let someone else speak. So I'd been to my doctor's quite a long time ago about something relatively serious. And when I was in there, I just said, oh, the person on the reception, who was on probation at the time, had a he/him badge, and I said, it doesn't make me feel very comfortable. I don't want to be compelled. My language doesn't want to be compelled. I said, and you know, she's on reception, giving the doctor a prime opportunity to ignore or enforce. And she enforced. She said, oh no, he's on reception. I said, oh, don't compel my language. And smiled and left, and it was all relatively amicable. And when I went back this time, I had to hand a very sensitive letter from my daughter to her doctor, or whatever, had to go to the doctor. And I never feel like this. I'm always ready for battle, but I wasn't particularly battle ready, and I was feeling so good about myself. I remembered that my son needed an appointment. I remembered that I needed an appointment. I remembered my daughter needed an appointment. And on top of that, there was no queue. And so I'd walked in, so I was like, oh, my life is sorted. Look how brilliant I am. I'm going to remember to do all these things. My son's everyone's going to feel amazing. And then I handed the letter, and it was Chuck. Her name's Chuck. And she had a little, and I don't know what it is about these childlike symbols, but she had a little funny, little fluffy, cute little bee, trans bee, in the trans colours. And then the he/him badge was bigger than this microphone, and it was all in like kiddie font, and it was so cool. And this woman's about 35, and she was wearing a binder. I'm just going to say I've never worked as hard as that binder. But she was wearing a binder, and I said, and I just thought, oh, I can't ask for the appointments. I don't want to say my children's names to this person, because as far as I'm concerned, if you're wearing a he/him badge, you're an activist. And what you want to do is you want to make everybody else in your workplace and everyone else you meet call you by language that you know isn't real, otherwise you wouldn't wear a fucking badge. Because if she was, if she slightly resembled a man, as opposed to a really regular woman with short hair, if she, like even a bit, she wouldn't be wearing the badge. So I just said, I think that's a really inappropriate thing to wear. An ideological, a political symbol, I called it. A political symbol, I think it's really inappropriate. And she said, I'm not wearing a political symbol. And I said, yes, you are, an ideological political symbol, your pronoun badge. And she said, well, I'm wearing this so people don't misgender me. I was like, oh, okay, that's an interesting take. And I said, okay, so you want to force people to use your, pronouns. I said, you know, I think you're a woman, and I'll call you a woman, which clearly is worse than what that officer did in Manchester Airport. It's such a violent assault on that woman. And I just said, you know, I said, this is, she said, you can take it up with my manager. This is nothing to do with my job. And I went, exactly. It's nothing to do with your job. This is nothing to do with your job, so don't wear the badge. And as I went out, through 2 doors, let me just say, not to her face, I just went, fucking pronouns. That's what I said. I'm not saying I said it quietly, but I didn't say it to her face. I did just go, fucking pronouns, as I just walked out, because it's everywhere. I think that's what happens. We're all badly behaved, because it's not just that one thing, it's everywhere. It's everywhere you go. It's like, I recently went to the theatre. I went to see Wicked. It was a terrible version, I'm not going to lie. It was so expensive and really not worth it, and I've seen it about 2 times before. But there were like men in skirts, and I thought, probably 10 years ago, I'd have thought, oh, that's quite kooky that in the in the Land of Oz, there's some men in skirts. But now I just think, oh, that's the agenda again in everything. And I think there was a they, them in the whole production, which is new. But anyway, so then I had a chat with a woman, and she was all fine until she started correcting my speech at the doctor's, because I was phoning to leave, because I felt really paranoid once I got home, that none of my notes would be safe. Now, I don't really have particularly private notes, but I don't really want anyone reading anything about my children or sharing anything that they might think is an exciting little bit of news about me. And so I phoned them, and then the woman was like, he, well, she said she actually first. So I said, the woman on the counter, and I don't feel safe, and blah, blah, blah. And she said, he. And I was like, see, even you. I said, look, you have to go along with it. It's absolutely ridiculous. You know she's a woman. I know she's a woman. And she went, I'm not listening, I'm not listening, I'm not listening. I promise you, I'm not listening, I'm not listening. She said it about 4 times, and I went, oh, you can fuck off as well then. And I put that, it's not my finest moment. I'm not going to lie, it's not my finest moment. I would have been far more brilliant if I just remained calm. But I couldn't, because it's my kids, right? So I don't feel that calm. And then I don't know if everyone heard the phone call when they phoned me. Again, I totally should have let that woman speak, because that's kind of like the thing that I do. But it was so annoying. And Kellie-Jay, I just thought, yeah, you know who I am, don't you? You know what I do. There's something about your Kellie-Jay and the way you're saying it, that she knew who I was. And then I got a letter. There's no detail at all about the thing that I've done to offend them. And I definitely think, had I not done the angry, sweary thing, I think they'd still be asking me to leave. And that would have been a much more powerful story. So the lesson is, just really stay as calm as possible and firm. That would be the story. But I've now got to wait and see if I'm accepted on another doctor's thing. And I'm not going to lie, my kids are really quite paranoid now, because they're still at the practice. In fact, my daughter's got an appointment on Monday, and she wants me to go with her. And obviously I can't be an activist, so I'm going to wait till she gets in the car, and then I'm going to reveal my woman adult human being t-shirt. I feel it's got to be done. Anyway, enough from me. This is not a monologue, apparently. It's let women speak. Who else would like to speak? One of the candidates. You, come on. What is it? Is this my fault? Did I not do that?
Well,
It was me. It's my fault. Yeah, I think so. Hi. What a lovely t-shirt.
Thank you so much.
So impressive. They like make conversations everywhere.
Oh, they do. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to give you some good news because we don't get too much of that, do we? While I was campaigning, I had to get out of my sort of Twitter bubble and actually go around and speak to real people. And I just want you to know that I've got to say 95% of the real people that I spoke to at Tesco and Asda and outside Home Bargains in my hometown agree with us. They don't all know the facts of what we're talking about, but when you do explain it to them, there's a lot of shock and horror out there. And once they get what we're actually speaking about, and that we're not just not wanting to be kind to poor people, they agree with us. So don't be too disheartened, and just know that normal, ordinary people out there do agree with us once they know what we're talking about. So the biggest thing is to keep getting out there and keep getting the message to people. And that's what I wanted to say. Thanks very much. Oh, you can. I tried to pinch them last time.
I know it. Yes. Lovely. Only takes a couple of people and then everyone's all warmed up. Hi. Which? Sorry, to interrupt you, Mary. Which is the one not working? It's the no green.
Am I meant to look at something or not?
You can look here. You can look at other people.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Stevie and I'm a die-hard feminist. I'm 67 and I first got involved in the women's movement 50 years ago. And then it was the Corrie Bill, rape crisis centres, women's aid, male violence, etc. And I didn't know about this issue because I don't do social media. I just don't. And I kind of bought the line about, well, kind of what's the big deal, you know? People can, you know, guys want to wear dresses or women want to wear suits, what's the big problem? And then I talked to a few people who knew a bit more than I, and then I read some stuff, and then I practically exploded. And one of the reasons that this is so dear to me is because I've, like so many of us, I was a victim and now I'm a survivor of incest by a man and of rape by a man. And I'm really grateful that there are some men here, and thank you for your support. It's not about your gender so much as about the individuals, okay? So a penis is a weapon. You can use it to rape if you choose to. I can't tell whether you're going to be a rapist. No woman can. Only you, as a man, know whether or not you're going to be a rapist. And so the idea that if I'm in a women-only space, particularly a space that's to do with recovery from sexual assault by men, and I come across a male-bodied person who's got a penis, I'm either going to chop it off or I'm going to run away. And what I find so offensive is this idea that somehow, as a woman and as a survivor, I don't have any rights. Now, I don't know enough about the medical stuff. I don't know enough about genuine gender dysphoria. What I do know is that there is a whole medical establishment geared towards transgender stuff, okay? What there isn't in England is a single specialised service anywhere that I can access for survivors of sexual abuse. My husband is also a survivor of sexual abuse, and he hasn't been able to access anything on the NHS. And our lives are really difficult. When you survive that kind of assault as a child, you grow up without what most people know about living safely in the world. We don't have that. We have to work it out ourselves. We've had fuck all support from the NHS. We've had to buy everything that we've needed to enable us to live, to not kill ourselves, to not despair. And as a direct result of the incest that I experienced from my father, I can't have children. And so I read in The Guardian about Freddie McConnell, I think that's her name, who I don't know whether it was on the NHS or what, you know. And there's this whole long spread about how wonderful it is that Freddie has now given birth to 2 children. Well, fucking lucky Freddie, because I can't, and it makes me really, really angry and actually really sad, because if survivors of sexual abuse aren't a priority in this country when there's an absolute epidemic of violence against women, from babies to grandmothers, to women who aren't grandmothers, to 100-year-olds. There's an epidemic of violence fueled by the sense of entitlement that men can define language, men can tell us who we are, and men can invade our spaces that we created. We fought for those. We created them. They weren't given to us on a plate. So thank you for being here. And it's the first time I've been here, and I shall come again. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So taken aback that I couldn't.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, who else would like to speak? Yes. A very poignant reminder why we need to keep on keeping on. Hi. Hi. Just going to pin this up here. There you go.
Hello, hello. Hello. I just wanted to speak because it's come to my attention that this issue has infected every other issue in the world. And I'm really feeling it personally that I've been squeezed out of so many spaces. So I've been squeezed out of the left because they are just ridiculous now. And I can't support that. I've been squeezed out of the feminist movement because huge numbers of previously respect-worthy women have gone along with queer theory, and women who were intellectually sound and promoting ideas that I really believe in, like wages for housework, like respect for reproduction of the worker. And then they start talking about men being women, and it doesn't hold water, and I don't understand what's happened to their intellect. And then I've got squeezed out of the LGBTQIPXLMN poetry scene, which is where I used to function, being a bisexual poet. I can't even use the word queer anymore. I never liked it. And then also I've been looking into kind of like radical, progressive, international workers' cooperative movements, which are really powerful and really, really important and utterly infused with fucking queer theory and trans ideology. And it appears to me that the agenda is nothing to do with sex or gender. It's an infiltration of everything. And it is co-opted and abused language, politics, social dynamics, human weakness, emotional need, and money, mainly, to slip into absolutely every single area of our lives, from birth to death via the toilet. And I'm fucking terrified, actually, at the implications for what this means for women. And for me personally, I've got a grandchild whose mother is transing it. She's 4. So clearly she's got no idea. Anyway, she's a girl, and she was playing, and her cousin's parents are being forced to go along with it, otherwise the children can't have relationships. These little children we're talking about, 5, 6. And so little boy is growing up with a little girl pretending to be a boy. And we were at a festival, and little boy went, let's go piss in the bush, because boys like to go like that, a lot, right? I've got 4 sons. and they like to get their willies out and piss on things in the garden. They like doing that. And so he said to the pretend boy, let's go and piss on the bush. And off he ran. And she couldn't piss on the bush because she hasn't got a willy. And he realised and saw and went, ah, you tricked me. You're a girl. In this really honest 5-year-old way. And it caused all hell. All hell was caused because he was supposed to apologise. His mother refused to make him apologise. And watching this play out among children just scares the shit out of me. I think that's what I want to say. It's like I'm literally shitting myself. And not literally. But and I think that the only thing we can do, and I think this is particularly true for women, is work on our unity. Because so many women's movements, oh, we don't like the sex workers, oh, we don't like this, oh, she does that. We are so good at infighting. And we have to put it aside because the human race is under threat. So whether you like somebody's politics, aside from the gender issue, or whether you like their outfit or their job or what they believe in, it doesn't fucking matter. What matters is that women are under ideological, political and fiscal assault. And unless we get it together, it's fucking game over.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Anyone offended? Let me just say, not all boys. I thought I'd... Actually, all boys. No, that was a lie, sorry. But thank you for that. Who else would like to speak? Everyone's quiet today. What, are you hot? Yes! Yeah, my love. Take all day if you like. There's no one after you.
I'm here just to say thank you because I have some great news. Many of you probably are already aware, but the United Kingdom Council of Psychotherapy, the Therapists Against Conversion Therapy and Transphobia, they all tried to remove the entire board. They failed. It is the first time that the Memorandum of Understanding against... I got goosebumps just telling you that then. You have no idea. It's the first time that the Memorandum of Understanding against Conversion Therapy has had a proper challenge to it, and it's found to be wanting. This document is what is behind so much of the culture war in this country, combined with Stonewall's Diversity Champions scheme. Okay, these two things are really important because all of the organisations have signed up, and so they've created a contract with this document, Stonewall's Diversity Champions scheme. So it's been really important for the UKCP to sit there and declare, no, we won't be returning back to it. We will create a different document, which is basically, hopefully, just not going to be anything to do with queer theory. And we will abide by that, but we're not signing back up to that one. It's a huge, huge victory. It's the first thing, the first time that anything has ever happened. So I'm here to thank every single one of you who helped to push this issue forward, to get it moving, to get people talking about it, because it's such a small niche issue, but it had such a big impact. And also the other thing that following on from that, you're all probably aware of the Labour's push for an outright ban on conversion therapy. I have a huge amount of compassion as to why the gay community in particular would want an outright ban on conversion therapy. You know, there are a lot of people who understandably hold a lot of grudges for a lot of wrongs that have been done to them over the years. However, the evidence that conversion therapy is happening today is very thin on the ground, and these same activists that created the situation with the Memorandum of Understanding against Conversion Therapy are also behind Labour's push for an outright ban on conversion therapy. So please, whenever you see this coming up on social media or any conversations, can you please raise this issue and push the message, because having an outright ban on conversion therapy going through Parliament. They're pushing through a draft bill that's going to come out in the autumn. It's the next big battle that's on the horizon. Okay.
Transing kids is conversion therapy.
Exactly. But yeah, so thank you everybody. You're amazing. Thank you. Oh.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Look at this. It's like 3 police. That's all we've got. That's all we need today. How nice is that? Although I do think maybe it's just a bit hot. If you've only got one dress and one pair of your mum's pants, maybe it's too difficult to come out in the heat. Maybe that's what it is. Well, by the way, Wrexham next week. I'm so excited. And then I was like, yeah, Wrexham, that's Wales, right? That's Wales. Oh, it's really, really far from my house. So, yeah, I'm very looking forward to Wrexham. I think it's going to be great. It's the second of the local kind of Let Women Speak. And if you want to do one, we do have quite a lot of people going through the application process, which is just to basically say that you'll stick to some very basic rules. Mary, you holding nature back? Literally, Mary is holding the tree. Everybody needs a Mary. Everybody needs a Mary. Yeah, so if you want to do one, there's like a initial application. And now Iris is going to master Mother Nature. I can't show you. Yeah, so if you want to do one, it's quite easy. And it means that then we get to do the first one, help you all the way through it. And then all the next ones and the actions, and we're going to have a massive back to school campaign because we're going to have tables outside of schools just to inform, like non-confrontational way to inform parents about what's going on. Because this Labour government, I don't think is going to do a lot about keeping this crap out of schools. I think teachers are going to feel emboldened because Labour is very closely connected to all the unions. The unions have been spewing this crap for years. And I think maybe there was a tiny bit of hope with me that maybe Labour would get in and they could do the things that Conservatives can't do because the Conservatives are accused of being really right-wing and authoritarian, whereas Labour could be authoritarian and get away with it because they're Labour. So I thought they might actually start putting their foot down, and Wes Streeting has made a good start, but I think they'll be saying to children, you can't go on puberty blockers, but woe is you, you is a martyr. You are a martyr, and as soon as your 18th birthday, bam, you can go and get your breast cut off, happy days. So they'll be counting down the days. That's what I think will happen, because in schools, children will be told, and I think the relationship between parents and schools is going to get so much worse over the next 5 years. I just think that there has always been this thing. Labour did it, they all did it. I've said this stuff before and some people don't like it very much and I don't care. But there's this thing about taking your children, putting women out back to work in jobs they don't like so that your children can go into daycare from a really young age. And I think if anyone cared about children, any government, they would work out a way to make it financially viable for women to have a genuine choice to stay home or go to work. I missed that. What did you say? She said wages for housework. I'm just repeating what she says. I would still be broke, actually, because I don't do any. I live in, it's quite clean. Anyway, so I think it actually has to come through taxes, and I think there has to be encouragement to give children stable homes and all this other stuff that makes me nearly a trad wife, I'm sure. But we've got to centre children. I think at the moment we don't centre children, and by not centering children, I don't mean give them whatever they want. I just mean kind of if we look after our little babies and our small children, then we have a nicer society in general, and mothers are happier, fathers are happier, couples are happier, we're all happier, less kids hanging out on the streets. I mean, it's a magic thing if you actually nurture a small infant. It really does pay off. And we see that what happens when everything falls to shit, when you've got children starting school at age 4 in nappies and still drinking out of sippy cups. I've even had a child to my house for tea a long time ago with one of my children, so not too identifiable, who at 7 years old couldn't use a knife and fork. Like, this is madness. Anyway, I'm going way off on a... I thought I was in the pub. So I can't remember where I was going, but Labour don't really look after families. They're not going to look after your family. They're going to encourage your children to have secrets from you. They're going to keep doing all the things that we don't like very much with our children. And so what we're doing at Let Women Speak is we're doing a campaign back to school where you don't have to just get your protractors, your rulers, your pencils, your sharpener, your nice case and your tie. You also have to make sure you've looked up who your children's school pays money to, what are the lobby group going in, what are they saying to your children, what are the school policies that mean single-sex spaces, and just common sense are out the window. And what would happen if your child went to school and said, I am trans, I'm the opposite sex, I'm non-binary, whatever it is, you need to know how the school will handle it. Why do you need to know? Because that will give you a good idea about how much respect the school have for you as a parent and how much they genuinely care about your children and whether their safeguarding policies are very flexible to ideological demands. So that's why you need to look. So that will be our big campaign. And then we're encouraging parents in a non-confrontational way to swap with another set of parents so that you go outside of school that your child's not at, because the last thing you want to do is make it more difficult for your child every day at school by sitting outside of their school and making them a target, especially when most of the children are already captured by this utter shit. Okay, right, who else would like to speak? After this lady, after this young woman. You sure? Okay, I'll stand right with you, and your mum's going to stand just there. Right, stand next to you.
I used to believe I was trans, and then I came to my senses.
Do you want me to ask you questions?
Yes,
Is that
please.
Okay, so how old are you now?
I'm 15.
And when did you think you were a boy?
I was 11.
Do you know what the trigger was?
Not really.
No.
No.
Any of your friends?
I had some friends, yeah, in school.
And then how did your mum help you? Or how did you help yourself? What happened to, because I guess going into it, it's probably a little bit blurry how you suddenly came into it.
Yeah.
But do you know anything that made you come out?
Mostly my mum, really. She was there, and
And how do you feel now? Do you feel wobbly about it, or are you
no.
really sure?
Sure.
Are you?
Yeah, I feel a lot less depressed.
Do you?
Yeah.
Wow, well done, Mum. Do you want to speak? Can you speak even?
I think a lot of people know me. I'm Taylor Advocate on Twitter, so anyone who knows me on Twitter knows my story. I talk about the journey that my beautiful daughter's been on for the last 4 years or so. She's been to a few of these with me and travelled around the country. Been to Leeds, been to Liverpool, been to a few of the high parks, and today she spoke for the first time, and I think are we through it?
Yeah.
Are we through it? That's it. There's hope. There's hope for all the parents out there. There's hope. That's it.
Well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you for speaking. So brave. Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name's Parnell, and I just wanted to share something about the toilets issue, just because there's lots of arguments about, in my workplace in particular, about bringing in unisex toilets, and I just wanted to share that about 20 years ago, I was roofied. I was given a date rape drug, and in my workplace at the time, a different workplace, and I was not able to look after myself, obviously looking quite drunk, and went into the women's toilets, and the guy who had got me into that situation followed me in and attempted to rape me. And the only reason that he was stopped is because another female colleague saw him entering the women's loos and thought, that's not right, and went in there and just asked him what he was doing in there. And obviously, in the situation that we're in today, where we've got unisex toilets, if that kind of thing were to happen to another woman, nobody would have the courage to go up and challenge that man. And I would be in a very different position today if that was the situation. So, and there's one other thing I wanted to share, which probably some of you know about, but I heard about a unisex toilets situation in Australia, I think it was, maybe New Zealand, sorry for not knowing my facts, but they had all unisex toilets in a public leisure centre, and a guy put spy cameras in there and was taking tens of thousands of images of women using the loos. And not only that, he would go in afterwards and take out used sanitary products and film himself masturbating over them. And obviously he was eventually captured, like spotted doing it, and prosecuted, and that's great. But the reality is, if one person has been found to be doing that, making use of the fact that it's unisex toilets, single stall unisex toilets, which we're told is safe for women to use, but obviously it's not safe if you've got men who want to abuse the situation, and we would have no idea that it's going on. And if there's one man that's done that, then there's bound to be other men that are using that situation. So even though the trans people say, come on, unisex toilets, single stall unisex toilets is perfectly safe, what are you worrying about? I personally don't think it's perfectly safe for women, and that's all I wanted to say.
When they've built the Millennium swimming pool in Wales, in Cardiff, they put unisex toilets, changing rooms, and people were drilling holes between the two. In fact, it's quite common. And in the first, I think it was, I'm going to sound like I'm exaggerating, but I think I'm going to underplay it. In the first 12 months, I think there were 17 reported incidents of criminal voyeurism. I don't know if you know, but years ago, before anybody had heard my name, I know it's impossible to believe, but before anybody had heard about me, I rang into James O'Brien. He's such a great guy, isn't he? He's such a great guy. If you look up hectoring in the dictionary, there's a picture of his furrowed brow and itchy chin. But anyway, I had a conversation with him, and I made a little video. Oh God, it was terrible. It was so long. It was like a 2-minute conversation about a 3-hour video that I made. But I looked up the stats on voyeurism and indecent exposure. And it's a low level, they call it a low level sexual crime. And I think we euphemistically used to just call it flashing. And people would go, oh, he flashed at me. And what we know about flashing actually is it's an escalation. It's a beginning of of a journey into rape and potentially murder for the men that flash. It's a real clear indicator that maybe he's a wrong 'un. Who knew? Anyway, so I looked into it and I can't remember the stats specifically. I think it's about 7,000 incidents of indecent exposure or of voyeurism in this country. But what I didn't know when I looked up, and I don't have blocks on my own computer in my office, apparently if you look up voyeurism, the first like 6 million pages are porn. Because it's such a great, it's a really, really popular genre to put your cameras in a women's changing room and film kids and women. So nothing to worry about though if you have a unisex changing room and they've got little holes in. It's not like there's this whole degenerate, perverse, practically South Korea level porn genre about the whole thing. But we just know that nobody likes unisex. I don't think many men like unisex.
It's awful. It's weird.
It's weird.
I know a man who won't use them because he doesn't want to be wrongly accused by a woman. He wants to
Yeah. So my good friend over there is saying that men don't like using them because they don't want to be accused. I've met some older men who don't want to use them because they really don't want to make women feel uncomfortable.
I wanted to
Decent men.
a unisex one, and I didn't know it was a unisex one, so I just walked out. Can I apologise? And then I look at the sign. Oh, unisex, really have to go. So I go in, but then I have this whole chat with her. Are you okay with me being here? And she's like, yeah, I'm okay with you being here. My friends wouldn't be okay with you being here, but I'm okay with you being here. So I'm in the toilet, but then it's women come in, and it's women's voices.
Yeah.
It's women chatting, and it's women, and I'm trying to do a number 2 there. And I'm like,
You might have to come and say this on camera.
and then I'm not coming out of the cubicle.
We're gonna make Menno in a minute come, and at the end of everyone, Menno's gonna come and tell us his unisex toilet story, so everyone can. But I met an elderly man in a station who said he just didn't feel right about going in a space which he would consider a woman's private space, and he wouldn't want to make a woman feel uncomfortable. Also, men's wee smells totally different. Even dogs' wee smells different to female dogs' wees. But it's just really uncomfortable for everyone. I went to a toilet in a theatre where I'll tell you about the night where Stella and I went to the Count in a brand new school in Bristol. I say brand new, it's like 5, maybe 10 years old. And it's in Brislington. It's part of this Oasis Academy, which is got many schools around Bristol, many schools around Bristol. And when you go in, and they're so awful. I don't know who's designed these buildings, but they're like characterless offices. They feel like you've stepped into some sort of dystopian novel where children are products, and they go into it's like Brave New World. So they go into these horrible office-like schools, and then they're ready for their boring office jobs. It just feels like that. Anyway, you go in, and it's quite big, and then just to the side of the toilets. So this big expanse here, well, it's got some nice plants, big expanse here, and then toilets. So when you come out of the toilet stall, you are basically in the open space. Like, the opening of the toilet is as wide as these trees. Like, it's not really a different room, it's just like a few toilets cut out. And they're unisex, and they've got that stupid all-gender sign. And I happened to use the loo and then come out at the same time as a man, so we walked in unison together to the toilets, which I just felt really uncomfortable, and I'm old. I can't imagine what it's like to have to dismiss those feelings all day, every time you want to use the loo as a girl at school, and you could be 11 and the person coming out the toilet next to you could be an 18-year-old boy. And so, man. And so you just come out of those spaces and then you go to the sinks. That was one thing. And then the changing rooms were like labelled 1, 2, 3, 4. One was like an all-gendery thing. One was like a men's. I promise you there wasn't a single person who went up to those toilets and just knew where to go. You just saw people my age and younger just going like this, I'm a good 10 seconds. And then my husband went in one that was for men, and as he went in, 3 women came out, and then he came out and checked the door just to make sure he was in the men. So it's a really uncomfortable thing, and that was made. I don't know if any of you have ever had a death stare from Iris. Right, she does quite a good mean stare, don't you, Iris? Yes. And there was a woman in the middle, an official in the middle of this count, who was, look, she didn't freeze. Iris, she didn't freeze, did she? She didn't look away, and Iris gave her one of the looks, and she still didn't look away. Yeah, look at that! Could you outstare that? Iris is like a cobra or something with her. Anyway, so Iris even did it, and this woman didn't look away. She was so angry that I had the audacity to be in the election. She was so angry, and I'm thinking, you've got a trans kid. You've abused your kid, haven't you? You don't like it because I make you realise that what you're doing, or what your sister's doing, or what your granny's doing, or what somebody is doing around you, I totally disapprove of, and that really upsets you and unsettles you. So you just have to give me the filthiest look you can, and Iris and I are going to laugh about it in your face. So that was great. Anyway, who else would like to speak? I did see, yes.
Just quickly, again on the subject of toilets. I mean, it is, sorry. Hello.
Come in, thanks so much.
Hello, which one? I look over here. Hello, yeah, subject of toilets. Even, so for example, on just this week, I had been putting those 99% of men, what's it? Not 99% of men, but 99% of sexual offences are committed by men. That little sticker I've been putting in the changing rooms, and when it had gone, I put another one there. Anyway, in the class, the Pilates teacher said somebody's been putting stickers in the toilets. Who is it? And I said, well, it's me. And I said, I'll tell you why I did it. I said, this man followed me into the changing rooms, and I was down to my bra and knickers, and he came in, and it was late. It was about 8 o'clock at night. And he said, oh, you don't mind, do you, if I just use the toilet? And I said, well, that is not a toilet. And I was ready for anything. I really was. And he got out. And then I suppose some people would say, well, you should have reported him. But it's not my thing. I just thought, okay, when people asked me why I wasn't coming back to the class, I told them why. And I also explained to the class why I'm putting those stickers up. But then she said, oh, well, but you know, people are having to take those stickers down again. And quite frankly, I said, well, actually, I'm quite happy to put a little framed thing saying 99% of, you know, sexual offences are committed by men, just to say, fuck off if you're thinking of coming in. All right, and that's all I've got to say.
Went to look at.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right. I just went to look at a lady. A lady's been standing over there with this really gorgeous little baby. So I just went over to look at her, not realising she was with anyone else. And I go, oh, I've just come to look at you. And her baby's not on her back anymore. Oh dear, I felt like a spoon. Okay, there was someone else with their hand up just now. Yes. This is the lady who doesn't have a baby on her back. I'm going to pin this on you here.
Not very good at public speaking. But I just wanted to say, like, I had so many, or have like LGBTQ friends, like supported the movement for so long. You know, was so accepting of everybody. And then I had my children. And I've got a 2-year-old and a 4-month-old, and I just started seeing things that to me like were quite sinister, and I just didn't get it. It didn't click right in my brain. I didn't like the fact that when I'm potty training my 2-year-old, you know, we'll be going to a lot of public toilets all the time. And sometimes I'll have to leave my 4-month-old in the pram outside because I can't take everyone in. And just the thought that there could be a guy walk in, obviously it makes it really hard to be able to relax or do anything. The same with changing rooms when I take them swimming. You just feel like you can't relax all the time, you know. And then I've actually had it where we've walked into the toilet and I've heard a guy's voice in the woman's changing rooms, and I'm thinking, what's going on? Like, why are they in here? And I've had to just walk straight back out, grab a hand and go, come on, we're not going in here. Because although they could be there for any reason, but what reason, you know, when there's a guy's toilet right next to it. So I'm like, to me, it's just strange. I also feel like when I started thinking with my own mind about the whole movement and what they're doing to children and the drugs that they're putting them on, everything like that, I don't know, it just didn't sit right. And I would never ever say to my child, if she didn't like the shape of her nose or the size of her chest or anything, I'd never say, yeah, go and get plastic surgery, go and do that, you'll be happier. Like, to me, it's telling someone that how you look on the outside, you're going to be happier on the inside. When I was growing up, when I was a teenager going through high school, I was diagnosed with body dysmorphia, and I used to look in the mirror every day, literally hate myself, like, you know, suicidal thoughts, everything, like depression, didn't go out the house, like I just hated everything about myself. But every single person around me was saying, no, you're beautiful as you are. You need to learn to accept who you are as a person, like this is you. Because I just had my heart set that all that would change it was plastic surgery. I was like, that's my only hope, is to get a nose job and get all these things done. I used to edit pictures, how I'd look with it all, and I was like, I'll be so much happier. But I'm so, so thankful that I had all my family and my friends, and a lot of society does say, no, you'll be happier, like you don't need the plastic surgery. Do you know what I mean? Whereas now I feel like society is saying to these young kids, well, yeah, maybe that's the way, you know, if you are a boy in a girl's body, which I don't think can exist because the whole notion doesn't make sense anyway. But anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Okay. Baby, aren't you? Thank you so much. My daughter once said to me, when do you feel good about yourself? Like when, like as a female, when are you finally enough? And I said about 3 weeks when I was 37. It was, felt amazing. Felt like, looked in the mirror and felt that the same person was also in photos. Whereas now in the mirror, I have the opposite of dysmorphia, right? In the mirror, I look great. And then in photos, I'm like, who the fuck is that? Who is that woman? Where do those come from? Like, I now feel like I look like French and Saunders when they wore the prosthetics of the men humping the TV, just with a bit more hair. Anyway, who else would like to speak? Yes. Oh, sorry, that lady behind you got it first, and then you. Yes, come on. What a fabulous t-shirt.
Oh, no.
I really like your necklace as well.
Yeah, fuck the patriarchy. Oh, hi everyone, my name's Nicola. I've travelled up with my daughter today from Cheltenham. Thank you. First time speaking. I was 50 just a couple of days after our Queen. And I've lived a life full of fear and full of anger. And when I hear men say, I feel like a woman, no you don't. And you will never know what it feels like to be a woman. The same way as we won't know what it ever feels like to be a man. But I've raised 2 wonderful boys that I'm eternally grateful for and extremely proud of. And I've raised 2 wonderful young girls, and they're fantastic. But when I hear somebody say, I feel like a woman, they will never know what it feels like to be a 12-year-old who's just been raped by a 20-year-old man. They won't know how that feels. They won't know how it feels when you have cysts bursting on your ovaries and you are doubled up in pain and the man comes along and says, oh, just take some paracetamol, you'll be fine. They don't know what it's like to have cells removed from your cervix or lumps removed from your breast, or to give birth to your children, or to be assaulted by a man and lose the baby that's growing inside you. So they will never know what it's like when we see a man and we don't know whether they are the good man, the men that we've raised to be good, decent men and love and protect their women, or we don't know if it's going to mean the next time that somebody hurts us. We don't know. So when they do come into our toilets and when they do come into our spaces, we don't know whether it's one of our lovely, decent men that looks after us and protects us and says it's all going to be okay, or whether it's going to be the next time that we carry around the pain for the rest of our lives. We don't know. So when somebody says, I feel like a woman, or when somebody says, oh, but he feels like a woman, so he's only making, challenge it. Say, no, he doesn't. He doesn't know what it is to be a woman. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you so much. But Shania Twain does feel like a woman, just as a caveat. Yes.
Hello. If you want to come and stand just right next to me,
Yeah,
that'd be great,
yeah,
thank you.
yeah. This is just a very quick toilet story to follow up the others. I was in a big place of entertainment in London, and I went, they had unisex toilets and women's toilets and men's toilets. I went to the women's, and it was all quiet in there. I thought there's no one else in there. Went into a cubicle, you do, and I saw awful noise in the cubicle next to me. It was a man entertaining himself very noisily. And you know, you don't know if it's safe to come out of the cubicle because you're going into this lonely space outside there. And later when I saw him come out, it was a man. He wasn't in a dress or anything. And I realised that if anyone made a fuss about it, all he had to do was say, oh, sorry, I thought they were all unisex. It's that blurring of boundaries. You have to have definite separate men's and women's spaces. And the thing that really upset me is that he was in a cubicle. He didn't know who was going to come in there. It could have been a woman or a girl of any age. And he didn't care. And I think it could have been my granddaughter. It could have been anyone's daughter or granddaughter. Right, I think that's it really. It's just another toilet tale.
Went over to give a leaflet to a chap, I won't put him on camera, and I said, do you know what's going on in schools? He goes, I'm a teacher. And the accent might give away whether or not he's one of us. And he said, I'm a teacher. And he said, I know what I think, but you can't say anything these days. And I said, well, that's why we do this, so that we can say the unsayable and we can break the spell of silence, which kind of is on everyone. And the more, look, I'm an outspoken person. Weirdly, I've always been the same. I've always kind of, this is what happens. I'll go, oh, I can't, my head will go, I can't say that. And I go, what? Of course I can. Oh, just say it. I'll just say it. What's the worst that can happen? Which is like a very quick, sometimes it's an actual dialogue in my head where I go, I can't say that. And I go, fuck it, I'm going to say it. But because of the, pardon my language, fuck it, I'm going to say it people, it means that other people can actually speak. So I beg of you, if you've ever been told that you're annoyingly outspoken, feisty I think is a word often used for that, but firecracker, that'll do. But sometimes, I mean sometimes that does mean abrasive and rude, right? But if you are one of those people, it's your job to continue to be a little bit offensive, a little bit uncomfortable, so that you can just broaden that little space where somebody else can speak. Because the truth is quite uncomfortable. We've had a recent thing where there was a Secret Service woman protecting the glorious, protecting Donald Trump, and when he got shot, and she was fumbling for her gun. Now, anybody on camera in a Secret Service, number one, I always think they're really slick, and so you imagine them to be this really slick kind of almost like gliding kind of profession where they're so well trained. No. But also, anybody doing that should be questioned on whether or not they're appropriate for the job. And I had this rant where I was sort of saying, you can't say that women can't play men's rugby or men can't play on women's rugby teams and then sort of say in physical jobs that women and men are the same. We're not. There is a place for women in most occupations, right? And vice versa. But I don't want a man in a nursery, thanks very much. I don't really care how that makes me come across. I just don't want men in nurseries. I don't think it's right. I think it makes me feel a bit uncomfortable. The statistics would actually say that I'm right to be uncomfortable. And likewise, I had a male midwife, by the way, dreadful experience, awful, just felt so wrong, just no. Men, if you want to be a midwife, no, just no. I don't care how great you are, no. And then when it comes to women in roles where you have to be quick, strong, and have stamina, you know the things that apparently women don't have when it comes to sport, that's why men and women are different. I think that just extends, and I think we lose the argument when we start trying to make it something else. Now, the Secret Service is run by a woman. I think that's perfectly fine. I think it's fine to do loads of other things. Okay, well, she should have got fired because she was crap. But not because she's got a vagina, but just because she was genuinely crap. But I do think that we have to be careful. The truth is the truth is the truth. It doesn't matter whether it suits your agenda or whether it doesn't. We're no better than TRAs if we start pretending that she's too weak for a man on the bloody rugby pitch, but she's exactly the same when it comes to other things. No, she's not. How dare you? She just said, and she was too short. I've seen Bridesmaids, and I thought she was great in that. Anyway, who else would like to speak and save me from myself? Yes. I'll be a MRA by Christmas. Oh, top or...
Bra.
Didn't want to say.
Hi everyone, nice to see everybody. I love coming here. I'm Italian and I'm a recovering Catholic. Therefore, and and what I saw, I didn't follow. I'm not following the Olympics just for different reasons, but I am on social media, so it's impossible not to the videos, etc. And I could not believe how triggered I was by the opening scene. Everything absolutely revolted me because obviously Catholic upbringing, trying to recover, but still, you know, if you don't believe in, you know, in any of that, don't portray. To me, it was like 666 everywhere. It was symbolism, right? So yeah, I was quite disgusted. But then I decided to look into it a little bit, and I discovered that basically they've got the journalists covering the actual Olympics in France. They cannot talk about biological male, biological females. They cannot talk about anything to do with critical. And so, you know, because the truth is that they're not supported and they're afraid they're going to look really bad. And there is a lovely clip going on under Women's Right Network on Instagram. And also there are, again, here we go again, there are two men competing against women. One is a boxer and he's a male, so you know, we know what's going to happen to the woman who's going to fight. So the question is, why don't women, this would be the perfect time for women to, even if they get disqualified, walk away in front of the whole fucking Olympics game, just walk away. You know, let's make a statement. Really, that would be a great statement to make, but they are not gonna. So the other thing, the reason I mentioned, you know, about my Catholic upbringing, I was, you know, there was a little hope in me that eventually I would retire back to Italy, the old gender ideology would disappear. Guess what? No, it's also arrived in Italy. And last year, the Pope had lunch with trans women, i.e. men who identify as women. He never cared about the LGB, never, but he has lunch with men who dress up as women. So that told me everything I needed to know and confirmed again, you know, my belief about religion. And so therefore, I am going to fight the fight here because I actually prefer this country, but you know. So yes, that's all I wanted to say, really. Thank you. Oh yeah.
Okay, who else would like to speak? Do I see a hand? No. Yes. I thought it was a hand. I think it was someone over there reaching for some guacamole. Hello.
Hello.
Can you speak nice and loud for the people here?
I'll try.
But everyone at home will be able to hear you.
Okay. Right, hello everybody. Can you all hear me? Right, I've never spoken at one of these things and I've not actually been to a Let Women Speak do. However, I have been to Trowbridge when you went to the police station. I'm a woman, I'm an older woman and I've lived quite a life. However, I'm not a mum. I am an auntie, a sister and a daughter. I'd just like to say it's very difficult not being a mum, being around mums, because they all think you have no idea what it's like to have children, and you don't, because I've never been able to have one. I've tried five times and it didn't happen for me. What I do know is I am very privileged to understand what it feels like for your body to change in every single way when you get pregnant. And no bloody man is ever going to know that. I also know what it's like to be protected of your nieces, your great nieces and nephews, and to love them very much and to want them to have a happy, proper life. And that starts, like Kellie-Jay was saying earlier, starts from when they're tiny, tiny. And I had the privilege of looking after my nieces and sometimes my nephew when they were tiny and my sisters were ill. So in a way, I have brought children up to a point. However, my sisters might not agree with you or with me. But please just remember, like with everything else in life, we cannot tell by looking at somebody what they've been through. And just because we haven't got children doesn't mean to say we don't care about them. We don't want their safeguarding to be properly sorted out and that we don't love them. So, thank you.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Just going to show you this. I'm going to have a small collection for Iris for some glasses. Right. So I just say, oh, lady just gave me this book that she wrote. I'm just going to hold it up. And Iris goes, she could have chosen a better picture. She thought it was me. She goes, she could have, look at that. She could have chosen a better picture. That's what Iris said. So if you have any spare money to get Iris some glasses, look at that. Does that, I mean, come on. Might as well have been a penis. Anyway, would anyone else like to speak? Anyone else? Oh, Menno, you might have to come and... Okay. Mr. Menno, can you come and tell us? You don't have to talk about the toilets, you can talk about whatever you like.
Hi everyone. Hi. Right, so toilet stories. unisex toilet in the hotel. I walk in because I just saw a symbol for men and women, right? So I thought I walk through that door and then there'll be a corridor and then there'll be 2 separate doors. But no, boom, I'm straight into the toilet area where the sinks are. There's a woman. So I go, sorry, and I leave. But then I'm like, no, this is the door to the toilet. So, and I really needed to go. So I walk back in, but then I make my excuses and I'm like, are you okay with me being here? And she's like, yeah, well, I'm okay, but you know, my friends would have an issue with it, but I'm okay with it. And then I'm thinking, are you just saying that because you think you have to say that? Because obviously I look very dangerous, but you don't know. She doesn't know. Anyways, so I go in a cubicle. I want to do my thing, but then she leaves and a couple of other women come in and it's high heels. I'm not used to those sounds in the men's. And then I'm like, do I do what I really, I want to do it as quietly as possible because I don't want them to know I'm here. And then I waited until they had left, but they were taking their time because they were chatting and doing makeup and spraying fragrance all over. It's just such a weird experience. And then even when you come out, the smells are different. I'm not saying the smells in the gens are great, because mostly you just walk in like that, but women's voices, women's sounds, women's smells, when you're just trying to pee or poo, it's just weird. Last year I was in a men's toilet. No, I went to a toilet in a cafe and they had the women's in a unisex toilet. And my first impression was, this is great. At least the women have their own toilet, because usually it's the women's toilet that becomes the all gender toilet. So now I'm like, this is good, okay? But then I went into the gender neutral one and I'm like, but wait a minute, now I've lost my space. And it's a really weird experience. It's like, can we just keep men's spaces? Like, why do I have to lose my space now? Because some idiots have pronoun issues. And that's why now with women like Buck Angel, she's like, I'm using the men's because look at me, I'm a man. And I'm like, fuck off. No, honestly, I'm like, fuck off. This is the men's and you're a pretend man. And I don't want to share a space with pretend men or with sex mimics. Fuck off. And they're like, oh, where do we go then? I don't care. Honestly. Because we're told as men we should accommodate them. And I have to be honest, I'd rather that us men accommodate these people than the women. But it's the same principle. All the boundaries go out the window and our consent doesn't matter. What we think about it doesn't matter. Accommodate, accommodate, accommodate. No. Where do we go then? I don't care. Sort it out yourself. And now obviously we have a new government in place. What West Streeting is doing sounds good, but is that just a sweetener for all the other stuff they're going to try and push through that's going to work against us? I'm not a political mastermind, but that's what I'm thinking about. And we just, in a way, it's like starting back from scratch. Like there was a picture on Twitter with Annalise Dotz and she met LGBTQ plus stakeholders. The Gay Men's Network wasn't at that meeting. LGBT Alliance wasn't at that meeting. When you're not at the table, you're on the menu. But the good thing is, compared to 5 years ago, now there's networks in place, there's organizations in place, contacts have been made. So we're not really going back scratch. But the reason why we all have to keep going, and the lady who spoke earlier, she was like looking into pedophiles and whatever, and it's like, she's like, I'm so tired of looking at pedophiles. And I get it too. It's like, how many videos do you have to make? How many times do you have to talk about these things? Like, but we have to, because the other day, I'm just walking down the street in Cambridge, and I get to speaking to this woman who has a 12-year-old child in school, a very sensitive, sort of gentle boy. In his class, there's a girl who thinks she's a boy. He accidentally misgendered her, and that's now become a big hoo-ha in the school. And they're now looking to move this lovely, sensitive, gentle boy to another class, meaning he'd lose his friends. They would do all that because... But this child knows exactly what she's doing. Because she told this boy, I'm going to make you my slave. Because she knows with all this pronoun gender stuff, she is the one who holds the power. And the school is playing right into her, is that how you say it, right into her hand? Is that it? And that's why we have to all keep doing this stuff. I'm looking into schools at the moment and the way they're all gone crazy with all this pride madness, right? Some nursery schools have a pride garden. This is for 2- and 3-year-olds. It's like no child is too young for this. So we have to look into what are these schools doing, nursery schools, primary schools, and obviously Transgender Trend are on the case, Safe Schools Alliance are on the case. But it's not just the schools that are captured. Then you have the local councils who are putting up their trans toolkits for the schools. Then you have, you know, top government level. Oh, so I'm not standing here going, yay, everything's great, everything's pretty fucking shit. And like this other woman said, she's terrified, I'm terrified. So that's why we just have to keep on going. And in terms of the language that we use, I'm a big fan of just clear-cut language, no woo-woo, no nicey. So, because some people say, oh, you have to be kind and say trans woman and this and that and she, her. No, fuck that. Oh, but we have to build bridges. Let somebody else build that bridge. I would rather just blow that bridge up and go, you stay over on that side. So, a woman is an adult human female, a male is an adult human male. Lesbians don't have penises. And the good thing is, the more of us just use that really clear, honest, simple language, you don't have to shout when you do it. The more other people go, you can say that? Yes, you can say that. Jennifer Bilek was on Talk TV the other day. She doesn't get that much exposure, but it was good to see her on British TV. And she was talking about a lot of stuff, but the best thing she said was when she just went to the presenter, it's ridiculous. That's it. It's ridiculous. So just say it loud and clear, plain English that anyone can understand. It's fucking ridiculous.
Thanks so much. Oh, you're glistening, Menno, you're glistening. Oh, we're here, Kelly.
I don't think much of your Geordie accent.
Oh, shut your face. It's brilliant. Can I just say no seagulls? I don't know.
Oh, I know. I got attacked by seagulls the other day. So I just wanted to get up and talk, seeing as I was in the election and hardly anybody knows me because I come to these events and I haven't talked before. So, hello everyone. So this is my 7th event, but it's the first event that I've came without my 2 friends, Wendy and Lindsay, who are also from up north, because it's like the full day. Yeah, you know me from Leeds, because Wendy nearly broke Mr. Menno in the taxi in Leeds, yeah. So yeah, so Lindsay got me into this mess. So I have to say hello to them. They miss you. And I just wanted to say as well, the whole election was just, I think I was a little bit hysterical, to be honest. I was just like going around telling everybody I loved them and stuff. And that's just not me. And the vodka martini definitely didn't help with that. So yeah, I had a really good time in the election, and I would recommend it to anybody who feels like they can stand up and invest in one. And I'm reluctant to talk anywhere, which is why. Yeah, but I'd like, because I was at Huston's and it was my turn, I just got up to the microphone and I started talking, and then this power came out, and it was really surprising. So yeah, so just want to encourage other people to do the same, because if we all stand up together, they can't cancel us all. Yeah. Can I stop now? She's disappeared. I'm not singing. No, I don't do singing. Sorry? What did I tell who? The Hustons. Well, so I had about 5 minutes to talk, so I did, and then there was 5 questions. There was 6 candidates at the Hustons, but there was 9 in total, so some of them weren't there. And after, like, all the other candidates were like used to talking and they were used to being political, but I'm obviously not. I'm a woman who doesn't really like getting up and talking unless I get some encouragement. And every time I answered a question, there was just stunned silence. It was really bizarre. And at first I thought it was something else, but then I worked it out. They're just not used to hearing people speaking who are ordinary people. And I think that's a shame, because really politics is for everyone, isn't it? And they should be talking to everybody, not just people who are really interested and know the details and know the technicalities and stuff like that. So, yeah, thank you. Can I stop now?
Stop now. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. A family just came over and I went to give them a leaflet, and then I said, oh, I didn't sort of listen to their accents, and I said, oh, this is about sort of queer theory and transgenderism permeating through everywhere, like schools. And I said, do you live in London? And they said, no, we're French. And I was like, well, it's definitely in your country. And anyone might think that France is a totally different country after that opening ceremony. Crazy, crazy. But like I said, peak the world, right? Because loads of people who haven't been bothered, who probably like the Olympics. Like, the Olympics is supposed to be non-political, and obviously there have been some political protests and there have been some terrible things that have happened at the Olympics that were political, like terrorism and murder. But what we like to think is it's a great leveller where everyone goes equal, and every country, for those days, weeks, I don't watch it, for those days, weeks that it's on, that it's just people playing sport and you can celebrate the winners. It's not Eurovision, so it's like there's no like weird, or we like that country, we're going to side with that country, and we're going to side with that country, but it's very much just appreciating the actual sport and the achievements of the sports people. And then there was that dross. And somebody said, oh, well, they had drag queens in 2000 in Sydney. But they did. And they had big shoes. And that's because it was like a titillating, like fun, kind of little something that happened over there that wasn't in the fricking libraries. That's why we thought it was okay, because it wasn't everywhere you look. It wasn't like the BBC's #1 topic. And I don't want to see, who the crap was tweeting for BBC Sport? Did anyone see? It was like, wow, amazing, that dead drop or whatever it is, that guy with the midges. Bring back Terry Wogan. I want acerbic, nasty, insulting commentary. That's what I want. Yeah, totally bring... No, and they weren't special. But also there just wasn't this forcing it down your throat. I mean, I just think everybody's got to the point of feeling totally choked by this stuff. It's just consistent, ironically, consistent, persistent. What is the other thing they say for the kids that definitely means they're born in the wrong body? Insistent, consistent and persistent, right? That's what this ideology is, which is why more people are like, you've ruined the Olympics. You've ruined the ceremony. Like, I just wanted to see, baguettes and garlic, stripy tops. I wanted to see onion sellers. I wanted to see ripped. I wanted to see sneering. I wanted to see looking down your nose at people. I wouldn't have even minded if there was some anti-English stuff in it, as long as it was French. And that isn't what we got. And someone said it. I've got to say, my comment of the night, Fred, what's his face, from Waiting Tables. What's his name? Fred Serieux? I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to sound like one of those people that says, I'm going to have bolognese. But yeah, Fred Sirius or whatever, he'd put, this was amazing, more people will visit France. And I was like, I just wrote underneath, which got me a lot of likes actually. Did you take ketamine before it began? Because it just, you would have to be on something to think that that would make anybody want to go to France. I just don't want to go to France anymore. Maybe down the south with my good friend Marianne. Marine, what's her name? I don't know. I'm such a big fan. Anyway, right. Okay, so I think I haven't run out of things to say. I think everyone's run out of things to listen to though. So we will close. Yes. Come on. You're very welcome. Let me just pin it on you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm very grateful for this movement protecting my wife and other women, my granddaughters and my sister, all my female relatives. I feel really grateful for the work that you have done and what you're doing. I wanted to talk on a specific issue that my wife was attacked by two men claiming to be women at this meeting in October last year. And I'm angry, I'm still angry, and I will keep being angry. And what happened was the men who attacked my wife, it was raining, she had this umbrella. People may be familiar with a film where she defended herself against these perverts. They, as far as I'm concerned, a man who attacks a woman is a pervert. What if they claim they're a woman, they are still a pervert. And as far as I'm concerned, they are not women, they are bloody TRA thugs. And I will never surrender. I will never ever surrender. And even worse than the attack is the complicity of Hyde Park police officers in supporting the person who attacked my wife. The two people who attacked my wife, one who used to be a volunteer, for the ambulance service in Manchester, and he was a volunteer that they didn't want to retain, and his excuse for them not retaining him was transphobic people made complaints about him. Well, I'm not surprised. The person who attacked my wife, I'm not surprised that people made complaints about him. If I ever meet him, he will find out what a complaint is. I don't believe in violence, but if you attack my wife, don't tell me what I can believe in. I will defend my wife. And I partly blame myself that I was not here to defend my wife at the time. She had a discussion with the person who initiated the attack, and I went around to see if the person or other of his colleagues were still here. And when I got back, I found my wife being dragged away from here by two police officers who had been over there laughing and joking with the people who attacked my wife. That is PC Rawlings and PC Hawke from Hyde Park Police Station. 6 weeks after the attack, my wife received a telephone call from PC Rawlings saying, you've got to come in for an interview. 6 weeks. He said, you've got to come in next week. If you don't come in next week, you will be arrested. And she had her phone on speaker, and I said, don't you threaten my wife. And he made no reply. The coward made no reply. And subsequently, I learned that PC Rawlings was involved in a fight on a train and had his jaw broken. Unfortunately, he didn't have an umbrella to defend himself, did he? So, sorry, PC Rawlings, he should have had one of these. So the investigation, so-called, was taken over by Mr. Hawke. My wife was eventually interviewed in January this year, and she made a no-comment statement, a no-comment interview, but made a statement that included the words, "I've never been attacked by women before." So, I mean, the situation now is that this has been from January to now that the CPS have been in possession of all the evidence, so-called bloody evidence, such as it is, that my wife protected herself. Well, we still haven't heard anything, and we're just a bit curious because subsequently a person here who was a witness, a really nice man who supports you greatly, is a real hero, and I think a lot of you know who he is, but I won't name him because he's suffered intense harassment from the people, one of the people who attacked my wife. He was arrested here by the police in January because he refused to give his name and address, and he's taken by police officers who marched up here from Hyde Park Police Station. 8 police officers marching like this, like they were marching in fascistic military formation to demand one man's name and address, which they then passed on to the person who attacked my wife. And the evidence of that is the person who was the witness to the assault. His parents have subsequently been harassed by the same person who attacked my wife. So you tell me that Hyde Park Police are not in collusion with these, can I say, gentlemen or ladies, but whatever they are, yeah, they're going to get a fight. And if I meet Frieda, what's he, the wine taster extraordinaire, now he's been sacked. They didn't sack him. They said, can you please desist from volunteering? don't volunteer anymore, Fred. We don't want you, Fred. You're an embarrassment, Fred. And even Peter Tassel found him an embarrassment. So now I've had my rant. I just want to say thank you, all of you. Thanks a lot. Oh, sorry. I was celebrating my speech.
I just, there's another lady that wants to speak. I'm just going to run through very quickly what you do when the police knock on your door or call you and they invite you to a voluntary. You can come if you want, but the alternative might be arrest. If you fancy it, right, this is what you do. When they phone and they say it's the police, say, I'm driving, could you call me back at such a time? And then what you do is you sit in front of your Zoom and then you press record and then you put the phone on loudspeaker when that call is coming in. That's the first thing you do, because nothing is better than exposing people when they think that they can say what the frick they like to you. And nothing stops that interview happening quicker than if you put that little thing on YouTube. So that's the first thing. You don't have to broadcast it, obviously, but it's good to also do that if you want to send it to the press, which again, I would recommend. Exposing this stuff is much better in the long run than trying to seek some sort of compensation or apology from the police. I think actually, for the greater good, I think exposing it is really good. So that's the first thing you do. You always record that conversation, put it on loudspeaker. You don't have to Zoom it, but that's just something that most of us use, so you can just press record and do that. Number 2, admit nothing. If you want to hold out, which I would recommend you do, if you fancy it, I would do it, but then this is not my first rodeo. I've had the police involvement quite a few times with me, and I'm a fully fledged activist, so I would welcome the drama. Sit it out. Don't go. Wait for them to try and find somebody to say PACE guidance would allow them to come and arrest you. So that's what I would recommend. Ask what you're being charged with, but also get yourself a lawyer. Most lawyers, even very expensive lawyers, will do half an hour free legal aid and they will come to your interview with you. So don't rely on the ones that the police recommend. You can contact any lawyer. The last time I did it, I did actually have to pay for one, but that's because I wanted someone who was going to come and frighten the local police so much that they would just leave me the hell alone, because I've now had quite a few police interviews. And they also intimidated my daughter when they came to my house because I was being untoward about paedophiles. Blessed be the paedophiles. Please don't be untoward about them. I don't even think you're allowed to threaten violence against paedophiles. I think you should be allowed, but I don't think you're allowed. So I wouldn't advise you to do that either. Anyway, so that's what I would recommend. If you do go to the police station, never go alone, ever. And don't say anything beyond no comment. No matter how clever you are, or how good you are at speaking, or how much you think you can hold your temper, or how much you don't think that you're going to let anything slip, they are just waiting, praying for you to say something to implicate yourself into some sort of crime so they can do a caution. Don't accept a caution. Or they can actually charge you with something. That's how they get you. That's why there are people that have been charged with some of these crimes. That's how they get you into court. And also, if you want to say things about the community of perverts, men in dresses, it's often better legally if you don't name an individual, right? So if you want to say, you can say they're all a load of perverts, right? They're all a load of you can even say they're all a load of paedophiles. You can say that as a broad thing about any group if you want to. But if you say, I don't know, plucking a name, Fred Brooks, for example, or what's the other person's name? Fred Brooks or Sophie Wallace. If you wanted to say anything about those two made up fictitious individuals, if you want to say anything about them, then you need to be mindful because that actually can quickly get into harassment. And also, if you do something more than twice, it can be considered harassment. So if you want to piss someone off, do it twice very well. Third time, you can be in trouble with the law. But that's just what I'm going to say about the police. Never go alone. Record every conversation. Really do look after yourself. Remember that they're also under pressure. Some of them might not even agree with it, but you'd be such a handy little catch for them to get you into court and do well for their statistics. Don't make it easy for them. And if you do get an interview or they do come and arrest you, for God's sake, get your phone out and record that as well. Because remember how they were so gentle with that man that said to punch all TERFs? Is that all right for you, sir? Are those handcuffs all right for you, sir? Do you need some medication, sir? Can I kiss your arse, sir? What did you do? You just chewed off your own testicles. Poor you. Poor you. Let's just, mind your head, Poppet. I don't think they were like that when they arrested that lady in Newport. I don't think they were like that with her when they stopped her having any medication, or when the other lady was breastfeeding a child and then she didn't have her medication and they didn't give her any sanitary protection or anything. I don't think they were the same, but they would have cupped his balls had he not eaten them. That's how much they looked after him. Where's that lovely lady with the red hair? Oh, hello. You moved.
It's my first time coming. I'm really glad to be here with my mum, who's an amazing woman. My life started a little bit tricky, but when I got older, I really understood the horrifying past that my mum had to deal with at the hands of a man. My father was 8 years her senior when she was only 13 years old. So I know that I'm the result of a paedophile or someone who groomed the lovely woman that is my mum. She is incredible, and I'm sorry that he did that to you, and I love you so much. And I really want to stand for women against these type of men. Not every man, obviously, but these men that did this to the woman that I love the most. And I'm fighting it every day, you know, even in my adult life. I work in a medical environment, I manage a very large team, and in the current company that I work in, 3 weeks ago, a man said on the shop floor, in front of the clinicians and in front of women that he works with. He said that men have to suppress their urges to rape women. He said that in a work environment, and I've raised it to my directors and the people that are in charge, and they've told me that I'm clashing with this man, and that I have to manage away, and he needs to not react to me as his manager, but I'm clashing and he needs to not react to me. After there's so many incredible women that work with him, including myself, and he thinks it's okay to suppress the urge to rape women. So I'm going to do my absolute best to get rid of this man for the safety of every woman there. And I know there are some incredible men in my life. My stepdad, my brothers who are amazing fathers, amazing men, and my sister who's super cool. But yeah, my love will always be for my mother for everything she's ever done for me. So thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That was incredibly brave. Incredibly brave. Okay. We've got a nice big fat fight for the next 5 years. So if you intend to keep coming, just get a raincoat, maybe a chair, maybe a little lightweight chair, a nice warm coat for winter. I will be here the last weekend of August. I'm starting this fasting thing, so you might not see me. I might be so small you won't recognise me. I'd like to take. I thought it was the Olympics. I was looking forward to sort of loads of Sharon Osbournes racing around. Anyway, yeah. So we'll be here this time, the end of the last weekend of August. Next weekend is Wrexham. I'm very excited about that. There's lots of other local events. There will be up on our website. But like I say, I feel that the time to look, everyone's been building something for the last few years, right? It's not like nobody's been doing anything. But I do feel like it's a bit now or never. And the now is solid foundations for a local network of every woman all over the country, just building and growing and extending. So actually there is not a single woman that feels, oh my God, I've just done that thing, or my daughter's just come home and she says she's non-binary, or there's a kid in the class who's now using the girls' toilets. I don't want a single woman, or man for that matter, to feel that there isn't a place that they can turn to where they can say these things out loud and they won't be told to be quiet or be sensitive or be kind. In fact, they'll be encouraged to do the very opposite of all of those things and just to speak clearly and truthfully. And if you can keep coming, building, focusing, and I do talk about unifying, I don't mean with the people at the top, I mean with each other. Like, you don't have to like anybody that is like a name, that is a panel member, right? And I include myself. You don't have to like any of those people, but you do have to work together with each other and not try and find the things that will make you divide. So that's why I do love this place. Your good friend in the Liberal Democrats recently tweeted that, you know, she doesn't have to agree with anything. She wore my T-shirt. She's just won her case because the Liberal Democrats basically turned up to court and went, yeah, we did it. Yep, we totally did all that. We're wrong. We're terrible people, etc. And she won, and she just put on Twitter, you know, we don't have to agree, but Kellie-Jay's T-shirt was brilliant. And I was like, yeah, because I would never vote Liberal Democrat, and I don't mind you wearing my T-shirt. So I feel that I'm just as unifying as everybody else. Okay, and also Party of Women, do join. It's going to be the only political thing that focuses on this issue, that is not torn or pulled into anybody else's fight. I have lots of personally things that are quite important to me, none as much as this, and none that I'm willing to kind of dilute Party of Women for. So Party of Women in the UK is about this issue. It's not about anything else, and we're not going to be pulled in or divided or diluted by being pulled into anyone else's fight. If you want to have those fights, you can join as many as you like. But Party of Women will focus on that. Anyway, if you can join Party of Women, which, oh my God, it's going to be so great by the next election, then I promise, well, the Party of Women won't win, but I promise we will win. If you can keep speaking the truth, even though you might get a tut for it, or an eye roll, or worse, then I promise we will win. Do you know why else we're going to win? Why? Because I never lose. Thank you.
That one,
Did that die?
Yeah.
Just?
Yeah.